Part 2. Employees looked down at me not knowing my family owns the company. Ron looked at me in surprise. He then called me rude and cocky and told me to follow him. I did, and he led me to one of the higher-ups in the company. This person was a close friend of his at work, so I knew he was likely to be biased. Ron started complaining to him about how I didn't want to work and how upset he was that everyone else was working while I wasn't. The higher-up looked at me and asked for my name. I told him my first name, and he asked if what Ron was saying was true. I explained that I had been picking up everyone else's dirty work and that it was unfair. Just because I was the new guy didn't mean that everyone else could slack off. Ron cut me off, playing the victim, saying that everyone was doing my work and that I was only there to cause problems. The higher-up then asked how I got hired, and I replied, somewhat angrily, that I was hired through a family member. When he asked which family member, I told him my father's name. Both of them looked shocked. I interrupted them and told them to keep the same energy once they both got fired. Then I walked out and went home. I was fed up with everything that day, but eventually, I managed to calm myself down. Later, I wondered if I had gone overboard. My father called that day, asking how things were going at the company. I hesitated before answering, but decided to be honest with him. I told him what had happened, and there was a long silence. My father then said he was disappointed, both by the situation and by my reaction. He understood that I was frustrated, but he told me that making threats and walking away wouldn't solve anything. He said it was unprofessional of me and that I needed to learn how to handle such situations, especially when I take over the business. He was right. I admit that my anger clouded my judgment, but I was just stressed. My father said he would arrange a meeting between the three of us. The next day, we all met in my father's office, where he stressed the importance of resolving work conflicts and treating all employees fairly, regardless of their position. He told Ron and his friend that this was just a warning, but if something similar happened again, they would both be fired. The meeting was tense, but I knew it was necessary. I apologized for my threats, and they apologized for treating me unfairly. The next few months went smoothly. Now that everyone knows I'm the boss's son, they've been trying to do my work for me and acting fake around me. Every time I try to pick up a garbage bin, someone steps in and tells me they'll handle it. It's frustrating, because when no one knows who you are, you get treated like dirt. But when they find out who you are, you're treated like royalty, when all you really want is to work and be treated fairly.